This is a review of the Canon 17 to 40mm f4L USM lens. It's quite an old lens now for Canon, and it has been updated to the 16 to 35 and they've put image stabilization on. But I thought I'd have a look at this lens because you'll find a lot of them are on the second-hand market at the moment because people have upgraded, and the 16 to 35 is a very good lens. But when I was into landscape photography, before I did weddings, I used to really like this lens, and I've actually decided to buy another one. So I went out the other day and bought one, and I thought I'd take it out in the snow. Well, the snow was melting, to be honest, and just take a look at why this lens is so good. The first thing about it is it's relatively lightweight. It's not a heavy lens. The second thing I like about it is that as you zoom, the lens barrel doesn't extend too much. It's sort of an internal zoom, which I'll show you, and that makes it a very compact, easy to use lens. So I put it on, I went up the Malvern Hills, and to be honest with you, when I got back I didn't really know what to expect from the point of view of digital, because I'd used this lens with film before and I was very impressed with film, but digital sensors are much better resolution in my opinion. We won't go into that, but at the end of the day you're seeing a lot of detail at 200 or 100 ISO. So I put it on a 5D Mark I. I have also tried this lens with the Canon 1300D in the Cathedral. Haven't got these images here, but I've tried it with a crop sensor lens, and so I've given it a good go. I haven't tried it with film again. As I say, I've used it before with film. So let's get into it, see what we think about the lens. The first thing I can tell you is the lack of distortion. So from 21mm to about 35mm or 30mm, you've got a very good wide angle lens, and you've got very little distortion. So if you don't like working in software and you just like taking photographs and printing, which is fair enough, to be honest with you, that's what we all want to do really. Well, most of us. Comment below. But I really like this lens because you've got very low distortion, and as you come into Lightroom, what you'll be able to see, if you scroll down to, let me have a look, lens corrections, and move over to the side, you can see even at 21mm, as I tick the box for enable the profile, there's a bit of distortion there, but for a 21mm zoom lens, I'm pretty impressed with that. Lightroom's trying to lighten the corners. You'll always get a bit of fall off in light with lenses. It doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest with you, fall off, because it pulls your eye into the image. But at 21mm, I tried it all the way through. The lack of distortion, and again, go on any of the other websites, Ken Rockwell, brilliant site, and you'll see that you're getting very low distortion. Now, sharpness isn't a problem either. You're getting a lot of really fine detail with this lens. I've zoomed in and out of these. I can do that all day to show you, but we're not going to pixel peep. You're just going to have to take my word for it, to be honest with you. Compared to the 24 to 105 at 24mm, so if you compare both of these lenses, at 24mm you're getting a lot less distortion, and you're getting some nice fine detail at the edges of the frame. I'm at f11, no need for me to be going down to f4. I'm sure you all know as we go down to f4 we're going to get less sharpness at the edges of the frame, but at f11, a general sort of landscape aperture, I quite happily work all day at f11 with this lens and get what I want, and maybe use focus stacking as well. So it's a very good landscape and general purpose lens for the 5D and the 5D Mark I. Just to touch on the crop sensor, just remember when it goes 17 to 40, all of a sudden becomes quite a nice standard lens. And I had someone who came on a course the other day, and I took her to the camera shop. We looked at the 1300D, which is a favourite camera of mine. Hopefully I'll get hold of one, and we can have a look at that. Very easy to use camera. Highly recommend it, to be honest, if you're learning photography, or I'd quite happily go to a wedding tomorrow with it. But the 17 to 40mm focal length is absolutely ideal for the crop sensor as a standard lightweight zoom. So if you wanted a nice setup, 1300D with a very good lens, this works really well. Just going in on the detail again, I don't want to pixel peep all day, but I've looked around all these images and no problem at all. So sharpness, low distortion, relatively lightweight. Go and pick one up, you'll see what I mean. Remember, this is a professional lens. It's got some quality in it. It's got some good materials. Now, just touching on the lack of image stabilization and why a lot of people might go to the 16-35 if you want to spend that sort of money. Give you some idea, I spent $350 on this lens, and you'd be spending £1,000 on the 16-35 f4 IS lens. You've got to ask yourself, do you actually need, if you're a stills photographer, do you really need image stabilization when you're at focal lengths from 17 to 35 or 40mm? That's something you're going to have to think about and try out. I know generally I don't, so I can go down in the landscape to where I need to go to. I'd quite happily be at a 60th of a second with this lens, or even a 30th. Wouldn't really go to a 15th handheld if I could help it, but at a 30th I'd be absolutely fine here. So between 17 and 40mm. So that's something to think about before you go spending a lot of money on the 16-35. Is you could buy yourself one of these, and then you could buy yourself a couple of nice primes. So you could go out and you could buy the 50mm 1.8 or 1.4. So you're not looking to spend lots of money on lenses, but this is one that's, to be honest, there were 4 in the shop the other day. That's all I can tell you. So you might be able to get out and grab yourself a bargain, and because everybody's selling them. I find this happens a lot. You'll suddenly see a new lens come out. The 70 to 200mm f4 IS is a lens I've used for the last 13 years, I think. And if you look at some of my other videos, you'll see how I rate it very highly, and I sold the 2.8 and I just used the f4. Well, the Mark II should be coming out between now and December, I should imagine. There's been a lot of rumours. And when that one comes out, you're going to see everybody selling the Mark I. So just have a look out for these lenses now. Canon is very good at not updating its lenses. Now, that's a good thing in my opinion. We want to keep the money in our lenses. We don't, want a Mark II, Mark III, Mark IV, and that to kill off our Mark I lenses in value. So, but they bring one out every now and then, and when they do bring them out, I can see a difference in some of them. The 24 to 105, everybody is raging about that. It's a shame it's heavier. If it wasn't heavier, it would be the ideal lens. But unfortunately, we don't want to add weight to lenses, and that's why I've looked at this 17 to 40 just as a reference. If you're wondering how good the 70 to 200 is, I use this as a reference for nearly every lens I look at. So the 70 to 200mm at f8 at ISO 100-200. This is my reference. I don't have any sharpening on there at all, so if we just go down to that and have a look, so I have 0 sharpening, turn that off completely, and then I use that as my reference to see what I think about different lenses. A lot of people come on courses and they might be blaming the equipment, and generally they've got very good equipment, and I just use this as my reference point when I'm testing these lenses. So what I can tell you is the 17 to 40, excellent sharpness across the frame. Stop it down to f8 or f11, and just go out and buy one. I highly recommend it. I'm hopefully doing a 2018 what I use for weddings, and I think the 17 to 40 is coming along, so I'll make that next video and we'll have a look. But yeah, so highly recommend this lens. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could subscribe, that'd be great, and there's a little bell symbol next to the subscribe button. If you click on the bell, then you'll be alerted. I hope to make as many as I can now. I'm going back into the landscape, doing a lot of YouTube now, so this season, it's spring fever, the sun's coming out, get yourself out in the landscape. Get the equipment that works for you. You just want something. Don't buy heavy equipment. The best advice I can give you is don't buy heavy equipment, because it'll end up staying in the car and you'll go for a walk with your camera phone. So that's what I'm looking to do. This 17-40, I'm looking to put on the new M50 when I get it, with the adapter, and that will literally be my landscape setup then. Every now and then I'll take out a 70-200, but that's going to be my setup. So yeah, I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.